Welcome to Hackback Customs. It's nice to see you once more.
Hello, I'm going to be showing you how to make this LED lit doghouse. So first off, you're going to want to download the files in the description. You're going to need some copper foil tape, 1/4 inch thick, a piece of carpet, a coin cell battery. This is a 2025 cell, and a few LEDs, however many you want to use. To start off with, I got the copper foil tape. Putting it through the door, and I'm going to be cutting off just a bit extra, so I'd say around 1/2 inch would be good enough, and that's just going to give you a place to connect the lines. So here I have two cut. These are going to be the positive and the negative lines for the battery, and they're going to be running on the floor of the house. Now I'm going to be cutting the rails that go along the wall. Doesn't matter which wall you pick, you just need one set. And I'm going to be cutting it at an angle to match the angle of the roof. And in order to cut the other one, I'm just going to be flipping this one over and then lining it with the roll of foil tape and just cutting like that. So now I'm going to be peeling off the paper back and placing the battery rail. And in order to do this, I grabbed the foil from the middle and placing it in the middle of the doghouse and just rolling it out. And you want to make sure that you get a pretty good adhesion on the doghouse, because you don't want this thing moving at all. And here I am just putting it up along the wall that I picked. Now I'm doing the other side. This is a better angle. So next up, I'm going to be running the rails along the wall. And to do this, I just line up that angle with the angle of the roof, and I'm just going to run it down to the bottom line, making sure that it's stuck right. And here I'm doing the other side. Next up, I'm going to be cutting the lines that go up and connect to the pads of the roof. And so I just cut a piece, and now I'm going to be making an angle, and the angle is going to be a 45-degree so that when it goes to the middle, it's not going to be interfering with the other piece on the other side. Again, in order to cut the other side, I'm just going to flip this piece over and make the cuts to make an identical but mirrored piece. Now that I have both pieces, I'm just going to be sticking them on. What I did, I aligned it to the roof and the flat part of the roof, so the top, and I just roll it out and press it down against the other ribbon, making sure that it's stuck on properly. And when I did this part, I noticed that I cut it too short, so in order to fix it, I just grabbed another piece of copper foil and I just connected both those parts together. So now that I have the rails, I'm going to be placing the battery. And just a note, I recommend using a resistor. Later in the video, I'll talk more about it. And so what you want to know is where your positive and your negative is. On the LEDs, the positive, the longer wire, and the negative is the shorter wire. And so here I marked the battery on which lead is negative and which lead is positive, and figured out where to set it so that it meets up with the LED on the roof. In order to place the battery, I just stuck some copper tape on both leads and then just pressed it down against the other copper tape. And here I am testing it. You just grab an LED and you can see it works. If you have the leads reversed, then it won't let current through, since LEDs only allow current to move one way. And so now I'm placing the carpet, and since all that is done, and here I did add a resistor. This one is a 10,000 ohm. So the light is very dim because of that. The smaller value of resistance, the more current will flow and the brighter the LED will be. Now I'm going to be going over how to wire the LED, and I did it on the roof because you can make it more interchangeable. Just print a different roof and put on a different LED, and you can swap out lights pretty easy instead of having to unstick them from the bottom floor. So right here I had no resistor, and you can see the light is really bright. So once you have your LED, you'll just bend the leads, and what I did was bent them outward, and then I bent them in. Now I'm going to be cutting more of the foil tape, and I just line it up and cut it close to the edge. The length doesn't matter too much, you just want enough so that the leads have somewhere to stick on. I cut 2 extra pieces so I could stick on the LED. And now you just line up the piece to the edge of the roof and slide it along that little lip in the printed part. And now for sticking on the LED, I put tape on one lead, lined it up, and once I had everything lined up, I just stuck the other lead down with the other piece of foil tape. Once I had it stuck on, I tested it out to see if it was good, and it lit up. Again, this is with no resistance, so it's really bright. Now you can see that it's not pointing straight down, so you can just move it after the fact to make it point somewhere else and disperse the light that way. So now when I put it down, you can see it's centered. If I flip it over, I have the other LED, so it'll illuminate blue. And if I flip it again, then it illuminates green. On the other hand, you can have no LED on the other side, just to make it turn off by flipping it. So now for the resistance and current, I set up a little demonstration. Right now I have it hooked up with no resistance, And so if I complete the circuit, you can see it's drawing around 4 milliamps, and that's a lot of current for these small LEDs. So now I'm going to be switching to 220 ohms of resistance, and you can see it drops by half to 2 milliamps. This is a recommended value for most LEDs. Switching it over to a 1000 ohm resistor, you can see the light starts dimming, but it's hardly drawing any current. Right here it's drawing around 0.8 milliamps. And now switching it to 10,000 ohms, you can see there's a really small light. It's really dim, but switching the multimeter to a different setting, it's drawing about 80 microamps. So really a small amount. Here I am just adding the resistor by wrapping foil around the lead and the resistor lead and just hooking it up and testing the circuit again with an LED. You can see it barely lights up. When considering batteries, you want to know how many amp hours it has or milliamp hours. The coin cell I'm using has around 220 milliamp hours. And so when calculating for 220 ohms, drawing around 2 milliamps, you should be getting around 110 hours of use. And that'd be almost 5 days of continuous use. Now there is some flickering, and this is because of poor contact. A few ways of fixing this is adding more tape, or you can try and bend the fins. Just trying to close in that small gap, as you can see right there. There's a lot of different ways you can stylize with swapping out LEDs and making it however you like. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And thank you for watching.